It's 1900 hours, 7 p.m. Marcy, would you read the statement, please?
Yes. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public and press on January 7th, 2020, and was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-7.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Vice President Auerberger,
Here.
Councilmember Murphy,
She's
Here, you couldn't read lips?
I knew you were here. Councilmember Weller, Council President Shortway.
Present. Can we all rise to salute the flag, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Mayor, would you be so kind to read the proclamation, designation of July as Park and Recreation Month, please?
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Bear with me as we go through these whereas. Whereas parks and recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including the Township of Vernon and Sussex County. And whereas our parks and recreation programs are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our communities, ensuring the health of all citizens, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of a community and region. And whereas parks and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic or recreation services for those who are mentally or physically disabled, and also improve the mental and emotional health of all citizens. And whereas park and recreation programs increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, and attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas park and recreation areas are fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community, and whereas parks and natural recreation areas improve water quality, protect groundwater, prevent flooding, improve the quality of the air we breathe, provide vegetative buffers to development, and produce habitat for wildlife. And whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives designated July as Park and Recreation Month, and whereas the Township of Vernon in Sussex County recognizes the benefits derived from park and recreation resources. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Township Council that July is recognized as Park and Recreation Month in the Township of Vernon in Sussex County.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Let's move to number 6 for current agenda items only. This is to open up to public comments, limited to 3 minutes. I would ask as people are recognized, they state their full name and where they live. So can I please have a motion to open the floor to public comments?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Kelly, you second?
Mhm.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Marcy, please recognize.
Yes, I have Miss Jessica Polladini.
Okay.
Hi, Miss Polladini.
Hi, good evening.
Good
Hi.
evening.
I just have one quick question. I'm wondering why, once again, we are going to pay the engineer to write a grant for the NJDOT for the Vernon Town Center Bike and Walking Trail Project. We've done that for the past 3 or 4 years in a row, and we have never gotten the grant because we don't have easements for where you want to put the trail. So why are we spending more money to write the grant when we still don't have the easements? That's all. If someone could answer that question, please.
I think the mayor and Chuck are frozen.
Are you looking for?
As it relates to easements, I can address that. There are two easements that we need to get as it relates to the portion of the trail that has already been planned out. One, I don't think that we're going to have any difficulty getting. That's an easement from the PAL. The other easement is one that I need to get from a company that owns some property. I'm in discussions with that organization now. I think there's a high degree of success that I will probably get that easement. But I'm working on both of those so that we can, in fact, move forward on the grant or putting this project out to bid.
Thank you for that answer, Mayor. I also just want to say that PAL has been one of them for the past 3-4 years, and I'm just wondering why that hasn't been secured yet. But you answered my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. I don't see anybody else with their hand up. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Let's see. We have Tom McClackery. Hi, Mr. McClackery. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, I did it 3 times.
Hello, Tom.
Yeah. Name's Tom McClackery. I live in Vernon. And my comments are just basic. And it pertains to the first comment is the Clean Communities grant that you're getting for $53,400. That's $5,000 short from what it was last year, and I just want to know if there was any explanation for that. And number 2, my question concerns the creation of a clerk 3 position. You know, I guess it was the last meeting the meeting before last, where you're going to go out and do some emergency funding because the revenues are not coming in. And when you look at your budget on the revenue side, I mean, the expenditure side, you're doing, well, it depends on how you look at it, but the revenue side, there's a number of those that are going to be impacted. And, you know, at some point, you got to start taking into consideration how much the taxpayer, after just getting their draft tax bills and they're seeing about a $400 to $500 tax increase, and no explanation as to, you know, how that tax increase occurred and how it occurred across the tax base that is the commercial, residential, agriculture. You know, it's just silence there is deafening at times, but that's my 2 comments. And you really don't have to answer that because I think as we go along, we'll see the answer to those comments. And I'd like to thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. I have Peg DeStassi.
Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Peg.
can.
Good evening.
Okay, thank you for letting me speak. I'm Peg DeStassi from Silver Spruce Drive. I wanted to address 3 things this evening that are on the agenda. The first one is the Wastewater Feasibility Committee. It was a tough chore for us to tackle, and I believe we came together as a unified group of professionals to address the hard issues. We did not address and solve the entire situation, but I believe we now have established a very strong and well-defined course to follow. It was a pleasure to work with this group of professionals. It was nice to see that we could come together as a group with different goals and different desires, but we could work together for the betterment of Vernon. The second thing I would like to address is 2 weeks ago, we passed the ordinance 20-153, which is the testing on the property. And it's still my opinion, after reading the report from the company, that we need to do more in-depth testing than just surface. It is a sloping piece of property, so there should be no problem with coming in from the side to check to see in depth if that property has, in fact, over the last 20 years, incurred any type of environmental contamination. As you know, Harry, that's how it was found on Silver Spruce. For years, they tested on the surface and nothing ever showed. But when they went in from the side and they did the auger tests with testing samples, they found all of the contamination. So I really truthfully feel that we need to look at the potential of having that tested from that point of view. The last thing I would like to comment on is the resolution 20-160. As you know, I'm committed to working to advance Vernon towards prosperity and to a safe environment. I have the ability to bring people together, make decisions, and act on them for the benefit of our whole community. My track record of the last 11 years of working with state officials, local officials, county officials, and the DEP shows that. I respectfully submit my application for the open position on the council. And thank you for your time. Good night.
Thank you.
I have Brian. Hi, Brian.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, I'm
Brian?
sorry. Okay.
I'm sorry. What's your last name?
Lynch, L-Y-N-C-H.
Thank you.
I want to reference the resolution to fulfill the vacant seat in Vernon Township, and I ask all for your support in this. I am a experienced council member for 6 years in Vernon Township. I went through a change of government with Vernon Township. Both the council president and I were on the previous council, and also I was on the council in 2011 when we changed over, and then served with Councilmember Murphy. And all I'd like to say is I ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
I see no other hands, Council President.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion to close public session?
Motion.
Yes, we have Jean with the motion and John with a second. John?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let's move on to resolution 20-160. Resolution of temporary appointment to the Vernon Township Council till the next general election held on November 3rd, 2020. This resolution authorizes a temporary appointment to the Vernon Township Council. So what I would like to do is go by seniority, meaning Jean first, then John Kelly, and I'll wait to the end. If you have discussion or bring somebody up, please do it. So Jean, would you like to open up?
I would. Actually, I have something that I'd like to read that's pertinent to this subject, but it's something that I would like everyone to know about, and I happen to find it very disturbing. It happens to be messages that Brian Lynch gave me, and they were between our mayor and Brian Lynch. Apparently, Brian called the mayor, and the message that he handed me, it says, "Brian, can't talk right now, but wanted you to know that I was able to listen to your voicemail. Which two council persons will be nominating you?" Brian wrote back, I believe it to be Jean and John. Please know that that is my opinion. Thank you for your support. I left a message for Harry and left 2 messages for Kelly and have not received anything from them. The mayor goes on to write, Brian, I regret that you won't attempt to get one other council person to join with John to support your nomination. I understand that Jean's lack of support of my efforts as mayor has hurt your chances to serve our town again. However, since you have had a great deal of experience in town government, you understand why I can't afford to reward an individual who is attempting to make my 4 years as mayor an unsuccessful experience. I have great respect for you, so let's please talk again after this is over. Brian wrote, I did everything that you suggested. I only called Jean after you said to call her. I will not be a bother to you again. I never could have imagined receiving a message like this from you. I contacted everyone on the council. Harry and Kelly never responded. Howard wrote, Brian, please attempt to get the support of another council person other than Jean. With the exception of the pump track issue, she has opposed every issue that I have favored. I would find it extremely difficult to support an individual that she wanted on the council. Brian's answer was, you suggested I speak to her and John. I only did as you suggested to me. I'm very disappointed. You know, and I have to say, as a council member in my 7th year sitting now on the council, having gone through several mayors, several council members, I just think that this whole thing was awful. And I apologize, Brian. I don't know if you knew I was going to read this. You know, some of the things that I did oppose, I opposed the short-term rental. There were several resolutions. That issue has been going on for years. So it's nothing new. I opposed huge salary increases. Nothing different than it's been going on for years. As a matter of fact, Mayor Burrell attended a meeting in 2014 when he was recommending we give Vic Marotta his $40,000 raise. I haven't changed my platform on raises like that. I opposed them this year. The council did actually come back and ask for a reduction. I still don't agree with the 4%, but it is a reduction. You know, all anyone has to do is listen to the meetings. You know, and I hate to, you know, I just find that this whole thing is so disturbing because this is the town. We're supposed to be working for the residents, and people are making this personal. And because they don't like that I speak up, that I question things, they're going to criticize members of the public that are stepping up. My answer to Brian was, gee, you know, looking at some of the candidates, it wasn't a bad choice given the fact that he served on the council and it is less than a 4-month position, even though, you know, Scott Geisel was the next runner-up in November. But to further this, you know, and I have, of course, I keep, as a lot of people know, I keep a lot of information. And in November of 2017, the mayor wrote a letter to the editor to support Dan Perez for freeholder. And I won't bore you with everything that's in it, but for the most part, it says everyone involved in these behind the scenes, closed sessions and discussions are part of the same group or political party. The pressure to go along with the group and be a team player is enormous. Over the past 15 years, we have seen negative impact on our county of this enormous pressure to simply go along with the group and be a so-called team player. We have seen this negative impact in several unwise freeholder decisions, such as the costly solar project. And it goes on to state that, you know, how Mr. Perez would be questioning things. He wouldn't be just going along to get along. And I find it very confusing because the mayor wrote this in 2017 when he was promoting Dan Perez for freeholder. And then he writes this about me because I question things. And I have to say, Mayor, a lot of the issues that we've had this year, they're nothing new. They've been going on for years. The short-term rental, like I said, and as far as things that I have voted against, if you look back, there weren't many. It was just the same issue that just kept coming up. So we now have 12, is everybody correct? 12 people that applied?
I think it might be 13, but you're
Is
right.
there
in the
another one?
ballpark. There may be. I might have counted wrong.
Do you want me to just read the list?
If you care to, go ahead.
I have a list here. I have Peg DeStassi, Scott Geisel, Brian Lynch, Andy Pitzker, Joseph Tadrick, Zoe Heath, Nick Pirro, Dan Story, Fred Hemrick, Gary Gover, Rob Gersak, and Janet Morrison. Did I miss anyone?
Did Ed DeYoung, did you mention his name? Did he apply?
I did not see anything.
Maybe he didn't apply.
I didn't see any email from him either.
I did not see anything. And actually I actually attempted to reach out to everyone. I did not reach, Nick Pirro, did not see a phone number or an email. And I left a message for Fred Hemrick. Everybody else I pretty much, I think, spoke to over the last few weeks. And I just have to, you know, with this conversation between the mayor and Brian, and I do just have to mention something to Ms. Weller, to Councilmember Weller. You know, in the beginning of the year, a member of the public brought forward something you had said about me during the election. And I know you mentioned to me that there was something that happened between you and Brian. And I'm not getting in the middle of that, but I just wonder why, it's not even wonder. I'm just commenting that, you know, I afforded you that courtesy to go speak to you. It was something in the heat of the election. So be it. You know, we move on, we move forward, we work for the town. And I would have just liked to have seen that same courtesy, and not just to Brian Lynch, because if anybody is paying attention, you know, Brian and I didn't necessarily see eye to eye on many issues. So, but, you know, it's more of the matter of who would be best served. So I would just say that, you know, it would have been nice, and my part, I thought it would have been nice if you extended him the same courtesy that I extended you. And like I said, I'm not taking sides. And I know, like I said, and all I can go by is in the text message, and that Harry didn't call back either. But I just think we owe it to somebody that, at least if they reach out to us, you know, we call them back. Like I said, it's just, it's, you know, we've had a lot of interest, and quite a few came in today. You know, like I said, we have two between Janet Morrison and Brian Lynch. They had previously served on the council. Brian, as he mentioned some, I guess I even forgot about the years before the change of government. And then Janet Morrison was much earlier in the time. Peg DeStassi and Scott Geisel both ran in the former election. They were putting themselves out there. You know, I have to look at this and say, and they both still attend meetings. Dan Story ran for mayor, but, you know, like I said, there are a lot, like I said, there are a lot of people. I would hope that some of these people that do not get picked, that maybe they step up if there's any committees or boards that they could fill positions on, because if they're interested in stepping up. But like I said, I guess I'll just see how this whole thing plays out. But I do find it very disturbing to see that this type of politics were being played, because, you know, as to shun me. So anybody that I would support, pretty much, you know, might as well forget it. That's pretty much what I'm being told.
Okay, thank you. John, would you go, please?
I would like to thank all that put their names in. It was nice to see so many people interested to serve the township. My feeling, I've talked to the mayor and I've talked to a few. I would like to nominate Brian Lynch for the position, being he was the most current person to have sat on the council. If he had not been on, I would have happily gone with two of the individuals that had shown any express to go and ran this past November, because they already showed the initiative that they wanted to work with the town and change things. So that's all I have to say, and I would just like to nominate Brian for the position.
Josh, what's the best way to go? Let us all talk, and then we'll vote each candidate if someone nominates them.
If, well, nomination's been made, if there's a second,
You need,
the nomination should be voted on. If that person has the requisite number of votes, they take the vacancy. If they don't, move on to the next one. And ultimately, if you don't fill the vacancy, it's not filled tonight.
Oh, I'll second John's motion. And
Okay,
okay,
we'll vote on that one, then we'll continue if it's not passed. I do want to apologize to Brian, but I have no record of him ever calling me. So with that being said, let's move on to vote on this.
okay. Vice President Auberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
yes,
Councilmember Weller,
No.
Council President Shortway.
No.
All right, so right now there is a tie. Under this municipality's form of government, that tie is broken by the mayor. So Mayor Burrell, you are voting to break the tie.
Okay, I'm sorry, I had myself muted.
That's okay.
A tie between who?
Harry,
there-
my Wi-Fi went out, so I don't know if you guys called on me to speak. So if I missed that, I apologize and would love to have the opportunity to do that. So I'm not sure if me going out for a second, if I lost that.
No, we got your vote, and then
Okay, thank
we'll
you.
pick up after this, depending where it goes. If it doesn't pass, depending on the
Counselor-
mayor's vote, then
Counselor,
Kelly,
it's-
you open up.
Counselor, it's my understanding that the way this process should work is that the chair should ask for nominations. Individuals can nominate a candidate. If that person gets a second, then the chair should ask, are there any other nominations? If there are any other nomination, they get a second, then you'll have a vote. And then at that point in time, if you have 2 or 3 or whatever individuals, then at that point in time, the mayor would break the tie. Right now, there's only one candidate.
Well, there's
Josh-
been a nomination by John Auberger for a candidate. That nomination's been seconded. There's no reason for that not to be voted on.
I don't really know who the other candidates are. Who,
I read them.
that's, I don't really know who
Shouldn't the
the
rest
other
of us get to
candidates are.
speak though before there's a vote?
I read all the names.
But shouldn't the rest of us get to speak before there's a vote?
I don't know. It's up to the attorney. The attorney was the one that just determined what the rules were. If the
I
mayor
don't-
does not agree with it,
I
the
don't-
mayor can vote no.
No, I don't know who the other candidates are. The other candidates, there has been no other candidates that have been nominated in second. You know, I don't really know who they are. What, you know, Councilwoman Murphy did read off the name of all the candidates. I have all of those names because the clerk sent them to all of us. But what we really want to know is who is nominated. You always vote for or against or in favor of who the candidates are. And right now, no one else has had an opportunity, to my knowledge, to nominate another candidate.
Well, one of the other things that could possibly happen is if one of the candidates fails, another council member may nominate someone else.
And
I think we should have the chance to speak before we vote on the one person that was nominated.
I just want to make sure the process is done legally, and we have counsel here, attorney, to guide us on this. I know in other resolutions, all the council members were afforded the opportunity to speak. So I feel, Kelly, it's your turn to speak. Because
you.
of past precedent, please speak and then your vote. And if it's required by me to explain my no vote, as in
not-
recent court decisions, I will do that, but I was
You're not-
waiting at
You're
another
not
time.
really, I'm sorry, Council President, you're not really supposed to you're not supposed to explain your vote. That's not something you're supposed to do.
Well, on the no votes, and there's a recent case that Mr. Solinsky handled, no votes are supposed to have an explanation. That came out in December. Is that correct, Mr. Solinsky?
That is correct. In that particular case, there was supposed to be an explanation. But just so everyone's clear, even
Yeah.
if there is a list of 10 nominations, a vote has to occur on each of those 10 nominations. So it really doesn't matter if we do all the nominations one at a time before a vote occurs, or if you do take all of the nominations in total and then vote. The reality is each nomination is entitled to a vote, and Mr. Auberger nominated Mr. Lynch. That motion was seconded, and at that point in time, a roll call vote's required. Now, under the statute and this form of government, the mayor does not vote except to break a tie to fill a vacancy, which is where we're at right now. We have 2 affirmative votes from Mr. Lynch, and we have 2 negative votes from Mr. Lynch. I will also counsel the governing body right now that the Vernon Code specifically addresses abstentions. So abstentions will either be counted as a yes or a no. An abstention is not a not vote. So.
Well, Mr. Counselor, I disagree with you. I disagree with you because I've been through this process several times. And essentially, you need to have candidates to vote on. When you have a nomination, the process is that whoever's chairing the meeting opens up the meeting for nominations. A person nominates, and then there's a second. And then that person says, are there any other nominations? And if there are not any, he says that the nomination will close. And then at that point, in fact, if there's only one candidate, then whoever needs to can break a tie. But we don't have all of the nominations. I don't assume that all 15 or whatever these candidates will be nominated. I'm assuming that maybe 2 or 3. But if that's your ruling here, I'll go with that. But I disagree with this process. That's not really the way I've ever seen it work before. And I don't think it should work that way this time.
Well, he is our counsel.
Well, I understand that, Councilwoman Murphy, I do. And I respect him and I respect your point of view, but I just need to put that on record.
It's fine.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Kelly,
Yes.
you're going to vote right now?
Do I get the chance to speak, or am I?
You could speak and then take your vote. We've always allowed people to explain their vote on a resolution. We've done that numerous times because I believe the council should express it. So go ahead, explain, but it's up to you. Wait, you voted no. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's go back. So you're a no. No. Jane's yes. John's yes. I'm a no. You're a no. And the mayor's vote. And the mayor's vote?
The mayor's vote on this particular candidate?
Yes. Which I mean, yes, we need your vote because we have a tie.
Mr. Zelinski. Counselor?
Yes.
Are you 100% positive that this is the way this should go?
I am 100% positive.
Can a candidate be nominated twice? Because I don't know who the other candidates are.
If the candidate doesn't succeed now and someone wants to re-nominate them at the end of this process, certainly that is fine.
Okay, that way I'll get a chance to know all the candidates are. My vote is no on this candidate for right now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion doesn't carry.
Motion does not carry.
Kelly, would you discuss your feelings on this, please?
Sure. First, I'd like to discuss what Ms. Murphy had to say about me not returning Brian's phone call. So I believe what went on, Jean, between you and I and what went on during my campaign with Brian are slightly different things, and I don't really want to get into them. But Brian was very clear about how he felt about me while I ran. And so for that reason, I chose to not return his call. That is correct. So I did not support him. I don't support him now. I stand by that. But what went on between you and deciding to sit down and speak with you? That being said, the other candidates did not reach out to me. I did not hear from anyone else with the exception of Andrew Pitzker. And I had a long, in-depth conversation with him, which I was very impressed with a lot of the things he's done on the MUA as part of the paid commission, some of the things he did with the light show in town. I think he would be a great asset to the council. I think he brings a great business acumen that maybe not everyone has. And so for that reason, I nominate Andy Pitsker. Thank you.
I will second that. And before we move it to a vote, I would like the opportunity to put my feelings forward so I have an opportunity to speak and the public can hear me. I first met Andy Pitsker during this whole Silver Spruce dilemma we had up there through paid, and I found him very professional. I found that he listened, he researched. When many citizens were calling for the immediate arrest of Mr. Wallace, Andy helped me explain to people he's still entitled to due process. People wanted those trucks stopped. It would have been unconstitutional. I think Andy, as the rest of PAID did a phenomenal job. We formed a coalition. Congressman Gottheimer got on board right away. We had the council's support. We had resident support. And we've stopped it. Now more work has to be done. I realize that. We still have remediation, but the trucks stopped rolling. Where we were fighting the DEP in the beginning, we now have them as an ally, as well as the Attorney General's office. I think Andy did an outstanding job in his role there. Then we had the Chinese Light Festival. I was inundated with complaints regarding the Chinese Light Festival. And again, I reached out to Mr. Pitsker. There was a lot of communication gaps. There was a lot of misunderstandings, and I believe it was the cultural differences. Mr. Pitsker, I believe, dealt with in his job as an engineer or salesperson throughout the world, had 29 different accounts in 29 different countries. He was able to coordinate with my administration, with the neighbors, also with the police department, the building department, the zoning department. He did a magnificent job. It was truly to put this together. We didn't know where it was going to go. And I think we had one minor complaint the first night, and it worked out well. He did a phenomenal job. I had trouble, we all know, with the short-term rentals, getting it through the council. Andy sat down with me. We discussed this on how better I could maybe present it. He did research on it. We went back and forth, and he was such an asset to help me finally get that passed. And then we come to the MUA. He's now a sitting member. He understands what's going on with the MUA. And this is a vital, important part of our government, our finances, our budgets. The debt that's going to come on 2023, we're going to see another $500,000 up in those bonds. He's very familiar, and recently he has achieved in the last 18 months, helping my administration. I believe he's an asset to Mayor Burrell's administration. He's a definite asset to the MUA, and that's why I will vote in the affirmative for Mr. Pitsker. Therefore, Marcy, would you take a roll call, please?
Yes. Vice President Auberger?
No.
Councilmember Murphy?
No, and, but I have a comment.
I think we can wait on the comment. Let's complete with the vote, because you've already voted.
Well, why
you
can't
wanna
I
say
comment
no?
on this?
Okay.
Why can't I comment on this particular person?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. As far as the Vernon Light Show, I would have to say that, after that light show hit Facebook and everybody found out about it, it was then discovered that administration had been working on this with several of the departments. And I think that if the administration at that time had just been forthcoming with letting everybody know what was happening, the residents would not have been so struck by the fact that they were being told that 100,000 people were coming to town. So that's what happened. So it happened to be, a little bit of, keeping cards close to the vest instead of bringing it out to the public to say, hey, this is what's happening. I mean, Harry, you as mayor, you're always on Facebook. So I just don't understand why something like that would not have been posted. The other thing is because by the way, the residents were reaching out to everybody. And that was the problem, is no one in administration told them, but yet department heads, everybody was working on it. As far as, and like I said, this is nothing personal against him, but just to say, you know, we can work together. Well, there's a lot of people that can work together. But as I said, it doesn't mean you just get along, you know, you just vote to get along. You have to question things. You have to know what the answers are. You can't just say, so-and-so told me to vote that way. And, you know, as far as the MUA goes, Mr. Pitzker's been on the MUA for a few months. I will have to say that, you know, some of the members have been there for a while. The members that are there now for a few months, I can state with a fact, just from the amount of information and paperwork and lawsuits and everything else that we have gone through as a township, there is no way that those individuals that have been put on that for a few months understand the complexities that are going on with the MUA. I applaud them for trying. I applaud them for being there, for taking the initiative to do this. But if Mr. Pitzker is doing such a fine job there, then maybe that's one of the aspects that he should stick to, because that is a very complex issue. And we, you know, he did say to me, you know, that he wants to try to build the council up to getting along. Well, it's not that we don't get along. That's not why people elect us. They elect us to work for them. They don't elect us because we're here to work for the mayor. They don't elect us because, you know, we're getting along with everybody on the council. It's because we're questioning. We don't have to be friends. We have to work together. But, you know, given that, like I said, I do not feel, plus we had other people that actually put themselves out and ran for council. They actually put themselves out in the public and ran. So with that, I mean, my vote for Mr. Pitzker is no.
Councilmember Weller?
Yes.
Council President Shortway?
Yes.
Okay. We have a tie vote.
We have the same situation as before. We have a tie vote, 2 affirmatives, 2 negatives. Mayor, you break the tie.
Before I cast my vote, let me say to Councilman Murphy that I regret that former council person Lynch shared my emails. If I had thought that you would see those emails, I would not, I wasn't all that negative, but you are my neighbor and you're a council person, and I wouldn't say I'll do anything to hurt you. I do admire your willingness to question things. All of my life, I have been one who perhaps has been on the outside and questioned things, so I don't object to that. But I do not want my 4 years on this council to be for naught. I really want to be able to do what I believe is necessary to move Vernon forward. And so I actually look at who will vote to support those positions. And it's nothing personal. This is a political position that I was elected to in a political process. I think the bottom line is that if you're hurt in any way, I really apologize. I'm not going to fight with you, or I don't want to do that. There's no need in that. That's something that I don't want to see happen on the council. So, but I apologize for that. And whatever, you know, I hope that that's good enough. If not, I can understand. You know, it was my hope that we would get a new council member that would get the votes of all 4 council persons. That would be very positive and reflective from the standpoint of the public, if they would see that. And if the person couldn't get the votes of all 4, I would hope they would be able to get the votes of 3. And understanding that there was a possibility that that would not occur, I've thought about the fact that I probably would have to break a tie. I didn't know it would be like this. I thought I would have all of the candidates before me. And this is, yeah, I would thought that I would have all the nominations before me. The factor that I'm considering here, which you might want to say is political one, is one that I want to look at the candidate that I think can do what I call withstand maybe some of the onslaught of some of the social media pressure of the few, and support me in what I think is in the best interest of the many. I have to look at it like that. And I'd also want another council member who I really think question things, sure enough, but I want a council member who's prepared to join with at least 2 others and maybe all others to move things along. I just don't want this to be a stalemate and a fight all the time. I've looked at all of the candidates' resumes who submitted them to me, and I wish I had an opportunity to talk about the other candidates. I really do. But in this case, I'm going to break the tie and vote for Mr. Piska.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Can I just say something back to the mayor? Believe me, Mayor, my feelings are not hurt at all. My feelings are not hurt. I just find that the people that should be hurt by this are the Vernon residents, because it's just, it's not something that you expect. And like I said, Mr. Lynch did happen to share it with me, but I regret that you did it, because I don't think that it was proper. And like I said, pretty much any candidate that put their name forward, what you said there is, if Jean votes for them or supports them, I do not. And that I find to be very sad for this township. That's all I have to say.
I would like to thank everyone that submitted their name. I really do, and I thank you. At this time then, I think Mr. Solinsky, the proper procedure would be to swear Mr. Pitzker in.
Yes.
That's correct.
Council President, do you think we could take a 5-minute recess either before or after, so that I can email him, Mr. Pitzker, Councilmember Pitzker, a package for the agenda? If that's okay.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
No recess. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay. We're
Okay.
in
5 minutes. Thank you.
5 minutes. Okay, thank you.
For doing this, and would you please repeat after me? Would you repeat your name, please?
I, Andrew Pitzker,
Do solemnly affirm
I do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true and faithful allegiance to the same.
and that I will
Bear
true allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the government established in the United States
and in the state and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do further solemnly affirm
And I do foremost solemnly affirm
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully
impartially,
and impartially
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties as a member of the Vernon Township Council
and all the duties as a Vernon Township member of the Township Council
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability,
And a big wrap up, so help me God.
and so help me God.
Congratulations, Councilperson Pfister.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
And thank you, council.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you all.
Okay, let's move on. So we'll go item for discussion, and that was the wastewater feasibility committee report. I believe the council probably received copies about 2 weeks ago, which would be really John and Kelly. Did you receive a copy,
Yes.
Mhm.
John?
Yes.
Okay, and Jean was on the committee, and as was the mayor. I would like to thank everyone that participated in this study, and we got the report out on time. And what we'll do with the report is we'll post it with the mayor's permission on our website, and we can forward it to the MUA. They have a meeting Thursday night.
Please
So
do.
basically, after consensus and all members agreed at the end of the day on this, we came up with 4 recommendations. There are some subs within it, and I won't bore you with the whole report, but it will be for everyone to see and read in the public. So we'll make it public. the MUA continues. They should review their operations, which they've been doing. They found there's been a general lack of maintenance. They've already done a safety study, and they're going to create a standard operations procedure. At least that's what the committee wrote in its recommendations. They should complete the asset management plan, address the lift stations we recommended, and evaluate the force mains. Number 3, they should develop and repair and construct pump station number 2 as soon as possible. They should apply for the IT bank loans. A lot of them forgiving, and we believe under wastewater now, these loans may be 40 to 50% not payable back. They're forgiven. So they should pursue that. They should do the feasibility of a transfer station with a private vendor in Mountain Creek. This came up a couple years ago. Ms. Murphy has pursued it, and she's brought in a vendor into the picture. And Gene, I thank you for that. The private interest should develop the transfer station. We would all benefit from this. I think Mountain Creek would be a huge beneficial if we bring in more EDUs. That's the key for 2023, is to get the EDUs up so we can give the sewer users relief. Because as we've said numerous times, the bonds jumped from 1 million to 1.5 million in 2023. And then we also have bonds 1122 and 1123. I think they have to go for long-term finance in that year also. So basically that was our recommendation. It was agreed by all members. And again, we'll post it. Council members, mayor, if anybody wants to make other comments, again, I just highlighted it. If I left anything out, please fill in and discuss it.
Actually, I wanted to ask Josh something, because I had asked this. This was something that came up during the bankruptcy proceedings. And if I remember correctly, I had asked Josh about this, about where it's like us choosing whether or not to disband or continue. But wasn't it I asked Josh if he could find out, wasn't it the laws that we were protected under with the MUA that kept Mountain Creek from actually filing bankruptcy against this? Weren't we protected under that umbrella of the MUA because of their laws?
Under the Municipal Utilities Act, the state enabling statute, the municipality had certain lien rights, and those are the lien rights that were used in the course of litigation and through the settlement discussions to ultimately provide the municipality with the lien rights that it obtained in the settlement agreement.
Right. So I guess what I'm getting at is we should be putting this to rest. Should we not be putting this to rest? Maybe it's a question to not further look at ever disbanding the MUA, because could we be exposing ourselves?
I'd have to check if you do not have a municipal utilities authority, if there's another utilities authority, to see what the statutory scheme is with respect to payments that are owed and lien rights. And if that's something the council would like me to do, I could do that. But certainly, because you have MUA, you have certain protections under the state statutes.
Well, I just think it would be best if we knew what they were. So in 5 years, this doesn't come up again and somebody possibly make a mistake by attempting to disband because they think they're doing the right thing. And the other thing is whether or not the agreement, because our MUA is actually named in the agreement, even though the payments go to the township, we really need to be protected of what would happen there with that agreement if it were to ever be disbanded.
That's certainly something that would have to be considered if the MUA is going to be disbanded.
So I'm just asking, so is the council in agreement that the attorney research this? And like I said, we put this to rest because if that's the case, it should be noted someplace that, you know, this should not be a discussion item of disbanding it again, if that's the case.
I agree.
I don't see any harm with doing research and get the best information out there in a legal opinion. Kelly, your feelings?
Sorry, I was muted. I was nodding my head. Yes, I agree.
Okay.
I don't see any harm in that.
Okay, we will we'll look into that. We'll prepare a memo that lays out the statutory protections the municipality has under the Utilities Act, as well as if the MUA is disbanded, whether those protections go away or whether there's similar protections in other statutes.
And Mr. Pittsger, do you have anything to add?
Not at this point. I'm looking to absorb all of this information that you've just reported so that we can have a good balance between us and the MUA Commission.
All right, I'll ask, Janelle was our secretary. I'll ask her to get the report to all members of the MUA by tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Mayor, do you have anything else to add?
Harry?
Yes.
I just wanted to mention, we're missing minutes from May 26th, June 9th, and June 18th from those wastewater feasibility committee meetings, because we had minutes from the prior meetings, and we really should have the rest of them so they could be released to the public.
I'll ask Donnell to do that tomorrow.
Okay, so it's May 26th, June 9th, and June 18th.
Marcy, make a note of that, please.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Councilmember Murphy, May 26th.
Right, June 9th.
Okay.
And June 18th.
Thank you.
Because will those then be posted someplace on the website?
Even though we're not required as ad hoc, I think it's a good policy to do it.
Well, we took minutes. You know, we didn't take notes or anything. We took minutes. So in that case, and I mean, we had spoken about actually holding a meeting in public with the wastewater feasibility, which we never did. So I think it would only be right to actually, you know, possibly release minutes or something. I don't know if there's anything in there. I'm not sure. I think we did go into executive session at some point. So maybe if Josh were to take a look at them.
Sure.
I'll be happy to.
Mayor?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm not so sure I fully understood the conversation between Councilwoman Murphy and Councilman Zaleski, but what I heard something to the effect, I thought I did, that we should keep it up since we've decided to maintain the MUA now. This is not an issue that we should ever address. I don't really think that this council or this administration should ever tie the hands of a future council, a future administration to considering either having or not having the MUA. If that was really not the question, I apologize for that. But
it was not. Well, okay. It was and it wasn't, because under the having an MUA, and as Josh said, the MUA Act actually gives them lien rights. So if we did not have an MUA, the township would not be protected with to have those lien rights.
Okay, that's fine. As long as we just don't, as long as we don't tie any future councils or administration's hand, because we need the flexibility to do whatever we think at that point in time that's in the best interest of the
But if our attorney finds out that it is detrimental to the township to disband it because we could potentially lose money if there was a foreclosure or if bankruptcy, you know, so then you may want to tie the hands of somebody from doing something that's wrong. That's why I'm questioning it, because if it's something that is discovered that should not be done because it's detrimental to the taxpayer, that's what we're trying to find out. That's the answer I'd like to hear.
Okay, I have nothing else to contribute to that. Thank you.
And Mayor, just to be clear, the scope of our research is going to be into the statutory lien rights that the municipality may have under the Municipal Utilities Act, Municipal Utilities Authority Act, and other similar statutory schemes. So it may be that if the MUA goes away, there's other statutes that would protect the municipality. That is the scope of our research.
Mayor, are you good with that?
The council votes.
Yes, I am.
I mean, the council's the one that votes on this, so I'm not sure, you know, like I said, this should be a council discussion.
Well, the mayor's part of the meeting, and I do care what the mayor.
The mayor's part of the meeting, but the mayor's not part of the vote.
Well, we're not asking for him to vote. I'm asking for his opinion that it's clearly understood.
Thank you very much, Mr. Council President. I don't have anything else to add.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Anyone else have any other part of this discussion? Because we'll wrap it up and we'll move on to the consent agenda. John, nothing?
No.
Okay.
I'm good.
Right. We're good?
Yep.
Okay, let's go to number 9, consent agenda. Resolution.
May I just ask for 20151 to be pulled?
Okay, I see. And that's because it's about the pumper truck, correct? The fire
Yes.
truck? Okay.
Yes.
I'll still be reading it, but everybody will understand why then.
Yeah.
You good with that, John?
Yep.
Okay, resolution 20-147. Resolution authorizing purchase of dump body equipment through Sourcewell National Cooperative 080818-HPI through Henderson Product Incorporated. This resolution authorizes the purchase of a dump body equipment. Resolution number 20-148, refund overpayment, various lots and blocks. Loretta, this resolution authorizes a refund overpayment. Resolution number 20-149, refund overpayment, various lots and blocks. For Logic, this resolution also authorizes a refund overpayment. Resolution 20-150, Chapter 159, resolution requesting approval of revenue and appropriations, amending the 2020 budget as a revenue and appropriation of $52,455.58. This resolution requests approval of a budget amendment. Resolution number 21151, resolution authorizing award of contracts to vendor and national cooperative contracts for fire apparatus. This resolution awards a contract. This one we're going to pull per Mr. Allberger's request. Resolution number 2152, resolution authorizing approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the Barrett Road Improvement Project. This resolution authorizes approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant. Resolution number 2153, resolution authorizing approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the Vernon Town Center Bike and Walking Trail Project. This resolution also authorizes approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant. Resolution number 20-154, resolution honoring the Vernon Township High School senior class of 2020 and extending, designating Main Street as 2020 Senior Drive. This resolution honors the Vernon Township senior class of 2020. Resolution number 20-155, resolution awarding Wash Bay Water Recycling System Department of Public Works through bid 1-2020 Next Gen Power Equipment Inc. DBA/J&D Sales and Service. This resolution awards a Wash Bay Water Recycling System. Resolution number 20-156, resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Vernon rejecting Hague's Service Corporation bid for number 2-2020 fire alarm installation. This resolution rejects a bid. Resolution number 20-157, refund for totally disabled veteran, Block 368, Lot 2, name is Stout. The resolution authorizes a tax refund. Resolution number 20-158, resolution authorizing sidebar agreement to the Township of Vernon and UAW Local 2326 collective negotiations agreement. This resolution authorizes a sidebar agreement. Resolution number 20-159, sidebar agreement between the Township of Vernon and UAW Local 2326. This resolution authorizes a sidebar agreement. May I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda resolution minus, 151?
I do have a couple questions. Do you want them pulled or do you want me to just ask the questions?
Go ahead and ask the questions.
Okay. On resolution 2153, there is no contract that's needed to apply for that grant?
Chuck, can you answer that? Or the mayor?
I can answer that. According to Bob Canese, no contract is required.
So no contract. Okay, just wanted to. And as far as the resolutions 2158 and 2159, would somebody just like to maybe explain that so the public's aware of what they are, that they're not just.
I'll defer that to the administration. Either the mayor or the business administrator. Would you kindly do that, please?
Chuck, since you addressed that on our behalf at the executive session, would you please do that here?
Sure. 20-158, I believe, is the one for the police department scheduling. Is that correct? No, that's the other one.
Yeah, the sidebar is
Sorry,
159.
I don't have the agenda in front of me right now.
Yep.
All right, 20-158 is a sidebar agreement with the union, the UAW, to add a position that is not currently listed in the
Oh,
collect.
158 is telecommunications.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that's right. Okay.
Definitely.
20-158, same union, UAW, has two sections. It has administrative employees, and it also has the telecommunications personnel from the police department. To explain it to the public, during the course of our lockdown in the municipal building where it was not open, the municipal employees, and particularly the police department, split themselves in two groups, and the schedule for the telecommunicators in the police department, their schedules were changed from an 8-hour shift to a 12-hour shift for the course of approximately 3 months. During that period of time, the members of the group from that union found that particular schedule very satisfactory to themselves, and they went to the chief of police and requested that this sidebar agreement be instituted because they felt that they thought it was a better schedule for them. In addition, the police department reviewed it and felt that it was a better schedule for the police department as a whole and for the township in general, because of the fact that it was going to be a better cost savings for the township. So that being said, instead of waiting till when the contract ran out at the end of this year, they both requested that there be a sidebar agreement. The union representative of the UAW was in agreement with this, and that's why it is on the agenda tonight. The second
saves us money. Saves us money and good service.
And good service, and it's win-win because both sides think that it's of benefit to the township. Right. The 20-159 is an addition of a position that does not currently exist in the union contract. We have one of the members of that union who is and has previously been performing duties outside of their job description. The position of civil service position of clerk 3 is not listed in the UAW contract. There was a request from the union, and we discussed it with them, and we felt that after talking to the particular department head who went over the job description and felt that the individual employee who's affected by this is currently doing 90% of the particular duties associated with a clerk 3 position. So rather than go to a situation in which they did a desk audit, we thought it was prudent on our part to agree to this at this point in time. It will subsequently be brought up at the end of this contract at the end of this year. We expect to start negotiations for that sometime in either late August or early September, but likelihood is it would the sidebar agreement last until the end of this contract, in which time it would be under reconsideration to be added to the contract, the next contract, which would be approximately a 4-year contract. Does anybody have any questions?
Seeing none. John, did you have a question?
No.
Okay. Seeing none. Marcy, could you take a roll call in this incident, only because we have a new member for the consent agenda?
Yeah,
Do we have a motion?
We still need a motion and a second.
Okay. We have a motion?
Motion.
And John has the second?
And it's for 147 through 150 and 152 through 159.
Yes, 151's pulled. We'll vote on that separately.
Vice President Auberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Weller,
Yes.
Councilmember Pittsger,
Abstain?
Council President Shortway.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Could I have a motion and a second for resolution number 20-151 regarding the contract for the fire apparatus?
Motion.
Motion.
Okay, Jean has a motion, Kelly has a
Second.
second.
Vice President Auberger,
Abstain.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Weller,
Yes.
Councilmember Pittsger,
Abstain?
Council President Shortway.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, moving on, we'll go to public hearing, second reading of ordinance, and this will be ordinance number 20-13, ordinance amending and supplementing the salary ordinance for non-union employees. This ordinance amends and supplements the salary ordinance. May I have a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 20-13?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? Hearing none. Okay, Marcy, turn the controls over to you.
I see no hands up, Council President.
Okay, seeing there is no one, can I have a motion to close the floor to the public in a second?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone in the negative? Can hear anybody? Any abstain? Hearing no one. Okay. Okay, 2013's done. Now let's open up public comments limited to 3 minutes on any topic.
Council President, I'm sorry, we have to vote on ordinance 2013.
20-13. Okay, let me just put it here.
We need a motion and a second.
Okay, motion and a second. I'm sorry.
Motion.
Second.
Let's do a roll call.
Sure. Vice President Auberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Weller,
Yes.
Councilmember Pittsger,
Abstain?
Council President Shortway.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, number 11, public comment limited to 3 minutes on any topic. Please note it is 3 minutes. Please state your name for the record and where you reside. Can I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody
Aye.
negative? No negatives. Anybody abstain? Hearing none. Marcy, the controls are yours.
Sure. I have Brian Lynch.
Hello, my name is Brian Lynch. I live in Barry Lakes, New Jersey. I just want to say thank you to John Auberger for nominating me, and I'm quite surprised that if you asked me this 4 years ago if Jean Murphy would ever nominate me, or vote for me, I would say no, that would never happen. But I appreciate her support tonight, and I'm disappointed in two different ways. Number one, I think that the township attorney should have listened to the mayor, because the way the mayor had suggested to have this vote was the right way to do it. But since I'm not on the council, that's as far as I'm going to be able to take that. Second of all, after listening to Mrs. Weller, tell me why she didn't call me back, I find it really odd that an elected official would publicly state that since I didn't vote for her, that she was never going to call me back. And I wonder if this is the way things are going to be in Vernon, that if you don't vote for somebody, you can count anything out of them working for you. I think that if that's the way things are going to be, this is very troublesome. But as far as the support that I received, I thank you, John, and I thank you, Jean. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have Mr. Tom McClackery. Mr. McClackery?
Yeah, let me unmute that guy. All right, I got it. Okay, everybody can relax. Usually I'm pitching either curveballs or screwballs. I'm going to try and give you a straight line fastball here. And it concerns parks. And, you know, from the proclamation that was read, the only thing that parks don't do is cure COVID-19. Having said that, typically, you know, during this time of the year, the west gate on the way onto State Park is typically open. And this year, it's closed. And what that does is it drives everybody from Vernon to drive out to the east gate, which is, you know, about a 20-minute ride. 19 or 16 minutes if you're going to break the speed limit. There's no cops around. And that's an inconvenience because then you have to drive back. And as I've said, in years past, typically from July 4th to Labor Day, that gate would be open from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock to allow people to get into the park. And this year it's not. And that's my complaint. And if you guys think parks are great, then step up to the plate and let's hit one out of the park. Thank you very much and have a good night.
Thank you, Tom.
All right.
I have Martin O'Donnell. Mr. O'Donnell?
Yes, can everybody hear me?
Yes, good evening.
Oh,
Martin.
good. Martin O'Donnell, 5M Blarkham over in Sussex. Just wanted to say congratulations to Andy on the appointment to the council there. I had some great experiences with him unpaid, and we did some great stuff there. So looking forward to seeing what he's going to do. In addition, I just want to make a comment and an observation. Over the past call it a couple of years now, I've been attending many of these council meetings and whatnot. And when I first started attending them, people told me, "Oh, don't bother, they don't listen." And I didn't believe them at first, but I believe that I'm starting to believe that. I brought to the council's attention a couple months ago the education of the local government for people in committees and stuff like that. And it just fell on deaf ears. And I've seen that happen to a lot of people who have made comments during this section of the meeting. I think it would be a great idea if you took what the people say during this point in time in the meeting and bring it up in the next council meeting, put it up for discussion in the discussion section of the meeting, so that at least the people who came to you with ideas or with some type of complaint or whatever it happens to be could then think at least they're being heard and that you're going to discuss what they talked about, even if it's to say, "Nah, we don't want to do that." So, you know, that being said, I think it would be nice if that happened. So, thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
I see no other hands up, Council President. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Peg DeStassi? Ms.
Good
DeStassi?
evening.
Hi.
Yes, hi. I have a couple of old business comments that I would like to make. On 2 weeks ago, we voted on 20-141, where it was discussed if the Environmental Commission had the right to conduct research into the open space areas and any gifting. It is stated in our ordinance 20-16-26 that it is our responsibility to do that. Yet Harry and our attorney both said it is not required. I would like that to be looked into further, please, because I believe we were denied our right to look at that piece of property. The second thing is on ordinance 20-144, I have read the report from the company of what they intend on doing, which is surface testing. As you well know, Harry, surface testing did nothing on Silver Spruce. It kept coming back within limits. But when they did the side auger boring, they found all of the contamination. I am requesting that you revisit what testing is being done, and that because you have a sloping piece of property, you can do side boring and determine what the history is of the 20 years worth of dumping that's been going on that site to ensure the safety of our youth. The last thing that I would like to discuss is I have noticed a lot of photos by sports teams and people doing sports in our town recently where they are not social distancing, nor are they wearing face masks. It is in fact posted on our website by the New Jersey DOP guidance for outdoor sports effective as of June 22nd. In that it states required cloth face coverings at practices and games unless doing physical activity. So I am asking our residents to please protect our kids, community, and country by trying to adhere to the suggestions of the Department of Health. The last thing is I am extremely disappointed as to how this vote went this evening. It seems to me, and I'm not doing this because I wasn't put up. I understand I didn't expect to be put up because I know that I'm not a chosen person. But it seems to me that what you're trying to do is to put on this council everybody that will yes you and go along with the program and not ask the necessary questions for the right decisions for our community. I do not feel that this is correct. We should be, like Gene, asking the questions. The mayor has indicated he doesn't want somebody to make waves or cause trouble, but that's not what Gene is doing. Gene is asking the questions that need to be asked. Just think about how much trouble this town would be in if everybody just sat there and went along with everything and never asked the important questions about how and why and where and when. This is not about everybody agreeing and just passing ordinances. This is what is the right decision for our town. It seems to me that that has gone astray over the last 4 years. Harry wants, Harry gets. And I apologize, but that's the way I see it. Good evening.
I have Miss Jessica Polidini. Miss Polidini?
Yes, hello again. I just want to very quickly say that while I am in total opposition to the council person that was appointed tonight, the mayor was 100% correct in his understanding of the process. And I want to say that I can't even count how many times Mr. Zelinski has given wrong advice to this council. If you want me to count, I will, and I'll submit it to you separately. But the mayor was 100% correct regarding the process tonight. I want to talk about the resolution that was adopted at the last meeting regarding the allocation of money for the bicycle pump track. And I'm only going to say this about it. That was a totally lawless resolution. The certification says, I hereby certify that this is a true copy of the resolution adopted by the Council of the Township of Vernon at their special meeting held on June 26, 2020 at 7 p.m. in the Vernon Municipal Center. That is absolutely not factual. That was not the resolution adopted. No one knows what the resolution was that was adopted because it wasn't written. It was amended along the way, and that's just an outrageous way to do business. I mostly want to talk about the testing at the DPW toxic waste dump. I recently put in an Oprah request. Yes, John Auberger, toxic waste dump. I'm just responding to your smirking face, that's all. I recently put in an Oprah request for the testing that was done on Wisteria Court. Oh my God, pages and pages and pages and pages. Many, many, many tests were done involving piles all around the rest of the property, all over the place. That's not to say that I want the bicycle pump track there, because I do not. I just find it incredible that for that particular tract, you did so much testing. And I also put in an Oprah for the scope of work being done for the toxic waste dump. And I cannot believe that the extent of testing is going to be a couple of scoops from the street sweepings, and it does not even include soil borings. I did not know what Peg DeStassi said about testing the Wallace site, but everyone knows that without doing soil borings, you will never know what is in the ground there. And I want to remind you that that DPW toxic waste dump, prior to the township buying it, used to be the Baldwin dump. Now, I'm told, and I have no evidence whatsoever, I'm told that the things that were buried there are unbelievable. Now, how would we know that unless we do testing? Unless we do soil borings, we wouldn't know it. And I think it's just outrageous to put children there without doing proper and adequate testing. My vote would be to put the bicycle pump track at Veterans Park, where there is more than enough room. And some of you suggested that the Black Creek site would be close to the town center. Well, that's kind of ludicrous, because Veterans Park, which is on the other end, is just as close to the town center on that end as Black Creek Drive is on the opposite end. So that makes no sense whatsoever. And what I want to say lastly is that there was a comment made that Port Jervis, when they created their bicycle pump track, I don't remember who brought this up, but there was a comment made that they used street sweepings from their streets and used asphalt. I have contacted Port Jervis and discussed this extensively with numerous people. That is absolutely not the case. That was built on top of an old skateboard park. That does not equal used street sweepings and old asphalt, and all new asphalt was brought in. So once again, I'm going to say you have to do numerous deep test borings, and particularly where the old Baldwin site was located, which is the same site as the current DPW site. To even think that you're going to test a couple of scoops from street sweepings. And now I've heard it a couple of times that I shouldn't be calling it toxic waste dump. And my response to that is that I am always going to call it a toxic waste dump, because by its very nature, street sweepings can and often do contain toxic chemicals such as arsenic, weed and feed, pesticides, anything that runs down from the mountain, from homes, from private homes, anything that runs into the street sweepings gives it the potential to be toxic. So, of course, it's a toxic waste dump. You need to check your science, and you need to check with the DEP on that. So please, abandon this folly to create a bicycle pump track on a toxic waste dump and put it on the other side of the town center, Veterans Memorial, which is just as close to everything. Thank you.
Anybody else, Marcy?
I see no hands, Council President.
Can I have a motion to close public comments?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's move on. Mr. Mayor, would you give us a report, please, sir? Mayor, you're muted.
Thank you, Mr. Council President and other council members. On tonight, I use my report to make one commission appointment and to update you and our other residents on 4 items. The commission appointment that I want to make is to the Municipal Environmental Commission. But I want to first thank Mrs. Angela Erickson for her service on this important commission and express my understanding of the fact that there are always things in our lives that take priority over others. And I understand the priority that she has placed on her personal life. Second, I want to appoint Mrs. Katharina Sawasnik to fill the unexpired term on this commission that was vacated by Mrs. Erickson. Mrs. Sawasnik's term will end on December the 31st, 2022. The first item. I'm pleased to report that on July the 6th, our town had a smooth and successful reopening of the town's municipal center. Not only was the reopening smooth and successful, but many visitors to the municipal center commented about the clean, the attractive appearance of the exterior of the municipal center. And for this, I offer huge thanks to the efforts and actions of our outstanding beautification committee and our DPW workforce. We also received quite a few positive comments about the COVID-19 related safety measures that were obvious throughout the interior of the municipal center. While we have not yet received approval from the Department of Health to reopen the senior center portion of the municipal center for the specific purpose of serving our senior citizens, we are working close with the Sussex County Division of Senior Services on the shared service agreement to offer our senior population the meals and to some extent the socialization opportunity that they enjoyed when our senior center was open. Specifically, we are in the process of putting together the procedures and the amenities which will allow our seniors to pick up takeout meals at the senior center and which will offer them the opportunity to socialize from a proper social distance while eating their meals at picnic tables on the canopy tents located in an area out front of the senior center, should they desire to do so. Item number 2. As we know, because we passed a proclamation that July is our National Park Recreation Month, and I take this opportunity to express our town's appreciation to our outstanding Director of Recreation and Community Affairs, Mrs. Michelle Downton, and the town partners that she works so close with to ensure that our parks are beautiful and accommodating to the large variety of recreation activities that are offered in Vernon Township. I speak of partners such as the DPW, the PAL, the Board of Recreation, the Vernon Chamber of Commerce, the Senior Center staff, and the Greenway Action Advisory Committee. Item number 3. This item relates to just one of the most recent reasons that I am so very proud to live in, and quite frankly, honored to be the mayor of this caring town. This reason for pride came in the form of the Caring Act by the Junior Girl Scout Troop 96251 in creating a sustainable community project to assist those in our town who suffer from food insecurity. These Junior Girl Scouts built and installed the Lil Free Food Pantry just outside of the Tracks Deli on Vernon Crossing Road. An important fact is that this is a stigma-free pantry, which allows those who need food to take food items as the need arises, and allows those who want to donate food to do so as they desire. This Junior Girl Scout troop slogan for this project is, give what you can and take what you need. And the fourth and final item is the fact that there are always things that, and some of those are positive, and some not so positive, that one political administration inherits from the one that preceded it. Well, my administration has quite frankly been blessed by the inheritance of some good decisions that were made by the administration of former Mayor Shortway, who is now current council president. On tonight, I share with you the fruits of one of former Mayor Shortway's decision. And that's his decision as reflected in the agreement that he negotiated with Mr. Joe Henshin of Mountain Creek. This agreement calls for Mountain Creek to pay off its $28 million sewer debt in quarterly payments to the township. I'm pleased to report to you that even with 2 more quarters to go in this year, on July the 1st, Mountain Creek sent the town a check which resulted in its entire 2020 due payment of $856,000 being paid in full. And on behalf of the town's homeowners, taxpayers, I gladly accept this early payment. And I'd like to thank you, Mr. Shortway, for negotiating this agreement. And I'd like to thank Mr. Hession and Mountain Creek for keeping that commitment. Mr. Council President and other council members, that ends my report for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, we'll go to council comments. And as usual, Jean, would you lead, please?
Sure. And I'd just like to let the mayor know that when Harry was mayor, he was certainly not solely involved in the Mountain Creek settlement agreement. There were many, many people involved in that. And it involved the council, the entire council, and it was a council vote again. And it included the MUA, and it included many attorneys, okay, and many meetings that I actually went to that the mayor did not attend. So before you go placing all of this praise to one individual, please look at it as a collective group that was able to actually do this. I have a couple questions on the bills list, nothing earth-shattering, but I was just wondering, with the postage, which I know we use a lot of postage, but I was just wondering, the $10,000, did that have anything to do with the estimated tax bills, or is that just normal? Harry, could you ask them if they could answer me, because they're just staring at me. They won't speak unless you tell them to speak.
Well, I don't have the answer, obviously.
It's obvious. I mean,
Mr. Mayor,
I mean, I could just make this more and more difficult. I mean, it's obvious. Come on.
It's typically throughout the course of the year, we get another $10,000 worth of postage. The timing is at this point, at the time of the estimated tax bills. Whether it's directly correlated or not, I can't tell you, but we usually do that periodically as needed.
And do we know what the total cost was for the estimated tax bills, and will the state be reimbursing us for anything, because it was because of the state that the town had to endure that extra cost?
Well, it's not just the state, it's because we haven't gotten the county either, but we typically don't get any reimbursement from the state, even with a lot of the mandated things that come down through executive orders or anything else. So yeah, I think that unfortunately the taxpayers will be stuck with that bill. But in this case, I don't know. I can find out for you whether it, how much was spent specifically on the estimated tax bills.
Like I said, it would just be good to know, because last year when the same thing happened, and it was not of the township's doing, it was because the state held up our budget. People made sure that they pointed the finger at me. So I would just like to clear the air, because now again, this is happening. And, like I said, had nothing to do with me last year, had to do with the state and them reviewing our budget. The other thing I have is on the engineering cost. do we know what these engineering costs were for? Because we have $1,051 for Harold Pello, and then we have $4,079 for engineering services. I was just wondering, it doesn't say what it's for. It would be helpful if it kind of gave us a little bit of a breakdown. I think we used to get a little bit more information on these bills lists.
I don't know specifically what those are, but I will get back to you probably tomorrow about that. Okay?
Thank you. And then in April, we had litigation, and it's not a lot of money, but I was just wondering what litigation. Did that have something to do with Mountain Creek or what for? And this was actually for O'Toole. You know, it was only $665, but I was just wondering what litigation we had going on, unless I missed something.
Josh, was that for the final tally for the salt defense?
It may have been. I'll have to go back and check, but I'll report.
Yeah, it's not a lot of money. I was just wondering if there was something in addition to anything. And then quite a few meetings ago, I had asked about, like I said, again, the lake panorama wall is very nice, but as I was going through documents today, I found actually, you know, one of your memos, I think it came from Chuck, saying, you know, all of the things that were done and how the engineer needed to review it. And we haven't heard anything. You know, the wall is nice, it's up, the sign's up, it's beautiful. But again, was there any conclusion with it? Did the engineer sign off? Did we deed property to them? It was built on the right of way? Or was this just something that we're just gonna let go and keep, you know, just forget about it? And then we'll end up with another agreement like the sidewalk was in Highland Lakes. The other was the Brookside or the Brook Hollow Bridge. Any movement on that? I mean, the bridge still sits there, and we have no progress on it. And then on the Grandview Drive lot that we own, that Highland Lakes was accumulating lake fees. Like I said, is that still continuing? You know, and Mayor, these are things that you inherited. So these are things from the prior year.
The Brook Hollow Bridge, if you recall, was supposed to be something that the council was going to request monthly reports or as often as needed from Mr. Zaretsky. I don't remember the last time he was requested by the council to come in to deliver a report on the status of that, but it was up to the council to monitor that particular thing.
And like I said, and then I'll leave the politics out of it, but again, are we just going to overlook it? Or is someone going to check with him? Or are we just going to let the bridge, you know, if a storm comes in and the bridge is wiped out, it'll come back to the town why we didn't pursue this. Because they don't have the temporary road in. They were working with the county the last I heard.
Again, it's been almost 2 years since.
I understand, and there were updates last year that they were working on it, but now it's stopped. We have a new administration. You know, maybe Harry, maybe you could reach out to the person. And the other thing I wanted to mention is when you were asking for council members to step up to the MUA, I had said to you that after the wastewater feasibility committee was over, I'd be willing to take the spot, a spot on the MUA, which I'm willing to do. Council members are allowed to be on there. So if one council member can be on there, there's no reason that two cannot. So I would actually like to be nominated because there are vacant seats on there to be on the MUA.
Someone want to make a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Sure. Vice President Auberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Weller,
You're muted, Kelly.
You couldn't read my lips? Yeah, yes.
Councilmember Pitsker,
Yes.
Council President Shortway.
No.
Motion carries.
That's all I have.
Okay, John?
All I have to say is I would like for this council moving forward, we are a council and we have to come to the best conclusions to move this town and do what's right for the town and the folks of this town, and not the agendas, good or bad. That's where we need to be, and that's all I have to say.
Kelly, you're up.
Thank you. So I want to thank all of those candidates that threw their hats into the ring for the open council seat. I appreciate
Kelly just rose up. She might be on a hot spot,
Yeah.
because I know she lost service earlier. Let's move on to Andrew. If Kelly comes back, then we'll just stop and give her her opportunity.
I just want to say thank you to the town council and the mayor for my appointment. I know there's a lot of debates, and I found it humbling and also interesting to listen to all the different sides. I hope to be able to serve the residents of this town in a fair and balanced way, and look forward to doing that. What I was really impressed with were the 12 or 13 candidates. This is phenomenal to see this type of activity. And as I always said, working my past job, is that there's a seat on the bus for each one of us to serve. And we can all be contributors. So for the people who also applied for this appointment, I just want to say, I hope to see you and talk with you all and hear your sides of these discussions and listen into all the residents of what can be done. So with that, I'd like to say humbly, thank you very much for your considerations.
Welcome, Andrew. If Kelly comes back on, I'll stop at that time. So I think what we have to do, and Josh, please guide us on this. We'll have to get petitions out for the council seat for election in November, correct? And they'll be due, off the top of my head, like August 30th or September 1st, somewhere in that area.
It's
correct?
August 31st
Okay.
That's correct.
All right.
by 4 o'clock.
All right, so we can get those petitions out and see people that put in for this position if they're willing to run. Mr. Mayor, thank you for your kind words. And Mr. Hessian has shown over and over again, he is a person that is willing to invest in Vernon. He's from Vernon, and he's a man of his word. So I thank him. And this is the first time that I recall in my 27 years where Mountain Creek isn't getting a phone call, where's the payment? Joe's ahead of the game, and we really appreciate that. The next thing, we usually take off one meeting during the summer. I think last year we couldn't because we had some pressing matters. But I'd like to take off the next one, and then we'll meet in August. The reasons being that I'd like to get us back into the council chambers. We're going to have to deal with social distancing, where we're going to place people, but this will limit how many people can come into the meeting. The administration is looking at purchasing an outside speaker, so people that aren't inside, they have the opportunity to listen. And I would also like, and Mayor, you have great connections with the Board of Ed, that if we can get it live streamed. So this way we can afford all the public to see the meeting, and then they can, we can move them in and out if they wish to speak. My other concern is too, is this going to spike? We've seen it in other states. I know New Jersey, we're not seeing it, but I think another 2 weeks, 4 weeks will give us a better idea where COVID is actually going on this. So I'd like some input from the council members that the next meeting would be the second Monday in August.
Sounds good.
So John, Jean, you're muted, and Andrew, your opinion, and Kelly's not back on yet.
I think that's a viable option.
Jean, your input, please. You're muted.
I went to unmute and it didn't. Yep.
Okay, so Marcy, just put that on the webpage, please.
Yes, I will.
We'll meet in August then. Now give us time for the administration to get the loudspeaker system. We can look for the live streaming, which we wanted to. Kelly just texted me her Wi-Fi is out, so she won't be back on. That being said, John.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.